Everyone for tuning into the Welsh Lakes Coaching Insight series, where we'll be exploring the life and times of our coaching community in Wales. My name's Chris Moss, and tonight I'll be talking to one of Wales's best middle distance coaches, a man who in the past has guided the likes of Jimmy Watkins and Joe Thomas to international success over 800 metres, and he's currently coaching a very talented and promising athletes. Certainly some of the ones to watch for the future of Welsh athletics. So a very warm welcome, Arwyn Davies.
Hi, thank you, Chris. Good to spend some time with you and to share my views and thoughts with you and also the wider coaching community within Wales.
Thanks for joining us, Arwyn. Just to kick us off, I was reading this morning, some of the biggest challenges people are facing during lockdown is the fact that barbers and hairdressers are closed. But you seem to be coping just fine. Can you tell us your secret?
Yeah, it's great. I tend to keep it quite trim these days. Don't really get the need to go to a barber's that often. I just tend to look in through the window and see what all the fuss is about, really.
So, on a more serious note, tell us, how are you coping with lockdown? Are you fine? Are you generally coping well?
I'm fine. I've basically been on lockdown since the 16th of March. Managed to stay sane-ish, get out and about. Where we're living at the moment, we're quite fortunate because we live on sort of a country park, which has about 60 acres of ground, so we're able to do quite a bit of walking, and I can do a little bit of jogging these days. That's what it is, without coming into contact with people. So yeah, I'm doing okay.
Perfect. Onto your coaching, can you just tell us a little bit about how you got into coaching and a little bit about your coaching journey to date? Yeah.
If I could just say that today has been a little bit frustrating, really, because in Cwmbran this evening it was going to be the first of the Welsh Milers endurance meetings. Obviously that has been cancelled, which is a shame because it's in its third year. Seem to be gathering some momentum. So I would have been all being well, I would have been in Cwmbran instead of you sharing my thoughts with you. In answer to your question about how I got into coaching, about 30 years, joined a local running club. Just it went from there, really. Started running with a group of guys, and more guys than women, female athletes at that time. Started coaching a group of junior athletes, just over general road running, really. There wasn't a track at my local running club. Done a few coaching qualifications. I think at the time I was assistant club coach, then moved on to the next level from there. And then I think I got to level 3 maybe, and I was contemplating doing my senior coaching level. And I was at home one evening and I got a call from Sean Tobin down in Swansea areas, saying that there was a group of athletes there needed a coach. They were a bit at the loose end. So I went down there the following week and started coaching some athletes who you would know. And it sort of grew from there, really.
And if you don't mind me saying, you've been around the system a long time. You've obviously got loads of experience, despite your youthful looks. Who's some of your main influences? Would you say over your coaching journey?
To say that again, Chris.
Who would you say are the main influences on your coaching journey to date?
Okay, there hasn't been one person in particular who has been a big influence on me. Previously to becoming a coach, my father was a big influence on me. My father was a successful football association coach. He'd been a a professional footballer. So I grew up in a house where sport was a big part of growing up. I tended to influence myself by reading lots in those days. There wasn't an awful lot of computers about, or certainly with athletics websites. And by going to various Welsh squad camps and UK and Great Britain squad camps, you meet various coaches and share ideas, listen more so listening to what people had to say. A friend of mine in Bridgend, someone you would know, Vidley, been friends for a long time. Back in the day, we used to subscribe to a magazine called Peak Performance. And then we would discuss some of the articles in there written by, I think his name was Arwyn and a couple of other people in there. We would, Veronique Billat, and we would discuss and basically knock it about what we thought of what was written in there. I haven't been particularly influenced by anyone in particular, no.
I think that's part of the strength, isn't it? Having a bit of a community that you can go and talk to, and people you can interact with, share thoughts, ideas with, develop some knowledge, but also develop some ideas, some of which are going to work, some of which might not work, but that's part of the coaching process.
Yes, I think it's right. I mean, a lot of the coaches that when I started coaching, some of them that are still coaching, people like Adrian Thomas, still actively coaches at the track. I suppose for me, I always wanted to coach. When I set out on a coaching pathway, if you like, I always wanted to coach the highest caliber athlete that I could. So when I did my senior coaching exams, the course was in Loughborough. That brought me into contact with a lot of people who were coaching high level athletes at that time. So it was very, very interesting to sit alongside those, listen to the lectures, and sit down afterwards in a cafe or the bar and discuss lots of different things.
Excellent. And just moving on to some of the athletes that you've coached. You've coached many athletes to Welsh and GB vests. Can you talk us through maybe a couple of the high points and any of the challenges that you faced along the way?
The high points, I suppose, are definitely when athletes achieve at the UK and Welsh level, so it achieve at national level, and then if they win Welsh championships, those are definitely the high points. It's very time consuming. So if you're coaching high level athletes, there's a lot of travelling to be done, because normally if you're going to UK championships, they're either in Manchester, they're in Birmingham, or they're in Sheffield. If you go indoors, Joe competed a few times at Kelvin Hall in Glasgow, where I was, where I went to watch. Because for me, if you're coaching these athletes, when they get to race, that is for me the end point. That's what you want. That's what you put the work in for. And I know it's enjoyable, but yeah, for me, I want to go watch that. Coaching funded or supported athletes is very time consuming. I coached 2 athletes simultaneously, and if I'd been working full time, I wouldn't have been able to do those guys justice. As it was, I was working part time, and I was fulfilling the role of the Welsh middle distance event coach, which I enjoyed. Yeah. Joe Thomas. Joe for me was was a world class athlete, apart from the fact that he had some serious bowel problems, stomach and bowel problem. Otherwise, I think that Joe had all the attributes to be a world class athlete.
Absolutely, and you mentioned briefly Jimmy there. Obviously, 6th at the World Indoors, 2006. An amazing performance on the global stage. Joe Thomas, you just mentioned, another one of the athletes to represent Wales at the Commonwealth Games, run below 1:46. I think it's fair to say they're probably different characters. I know you've been involved with coaching the likes of Chris Reynolds, for example, in the past. But all of those have got strong personalities and different personalities. Is that something that you look for in an athlete, or is it something that you help to develop?
Someone said to me once, it may well have been you, but I've got an inkling. It might have been Johnny Phillips said to me. He said, "You always seem to coach all the nutters, Arwyn." And I thought, well, it's not strictly true, they're a little bit bonkers, but I enjoy it. Jimmy was had a strong personality. Physiologically, he was different to Joe. Jimmy could handle a lot more mileage than Joe Thomas could. They weren't difficult to coach. Sometimes Joe, with his problems, was frustrating. Jimmy's a one-off, really. You know what I mean? He is a real character. But someone given the opportunity, I would coach again. If we could turn the clock back, I would do it again. The qualities between them, Joe was far more explosive than Jimmy. He was very, very dynamic, whereas in a race Jimmy would wind things up over the last 200. Joe could really blow people apart over the latter part of an 800 race.
Yeah, well, I think Joe had phenomenal sort of 400 meter speed, didn't he? And that background, so that was really his strength. Yeah,
it was good. And at that time, Elliot Slade, I coached Elliot from the time he was 14, so he was coming through as a Great Britain junior. I think he went to Junior World Championships, and I think he also went to the Youth Commonwealth Games, I believe. So Elliot was coming through well at that time also.
So would you say you sort of look at the person in front of you and adapt your coaching style accordingly, depending on you've just mentioned three very different athletes, where the approach might have to be slightly different?
I think for sure you have to look at what's in front of you as a coach. There are times when the training will be almost the same, so quite generic, but also there are times when a certain session will fit. Although you can use Jimmy and Joe as an example here, one session might suit one athlete more than it would suit the other. So yeah, as a coach, you have to look at what you're dealing with, especially when it comes to some junior athletes. And age is not, as you know, isn't always a good indicator of where people are physiologically. So yeah, my advice to coaches is look at what's in front of you and understand what you're dealing with and what's best for them to progress.
Absolutely. I mean, you've mentioned some of the differences between juniors and seniors, and you currently coach a very talented group of young endurance athletes. Andy Ben Reynolds, current 117 Welsh record over 1,500 metres. What do you see as those main differences between coaching someone like Ben and coaching someone like Alex Coomer, for example, that are more senior athletes?
Okay, Alex Coomer is a very strong physically strong athlete. He is very, very good in the weight room. His deadlifting and his squats are exceptional, really, for a middle distance athlete. Joe was good also in the weight room, and Jimmy Watkins. But coming back to your question, Ben, with Ben Reynolds, when I started coaching Ben almost 5 years ago, I had a phone call from his mum, and I said to the parents and the two boys, Ben and Jacob, I said, you've got to give me time here. I said, you've got to give me 3 years plus for me to make a difference. You may have some success along the way, but I'm not setting out for you to be great at 15 and 16 or whatever. If it happens along the way, fine. But I want them to come through the age groups. So what I did with Ben and Jacob was I basically took it very, 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 very slowly with the boys until I got to know them, knew what they could handle physically, what his strengths and weaknesses were. So I started by trying to make them as fast as I could, and then when they were progressing enough, you could put on some strength exercises, some plyometrics, some basic strength exercises, and then we came where they were able to go into the weight room and under my supervision, and David Rolls, who works with me, is coming in the weights room as well. David coaches alongside me. But if I wind the clock back 2 years ago, Ben and Jacob would periodically join Alex Coomer and the senior athletes in a training session at the track. Not for the full session, and certainly not every week. And being there, watching, and just being mindful of where they are and what they were capable of now at this point, and for the past year, I would say, they have been able to train with Alex and some of the senior athletes on a regular basis.
So a bit of an integration process for those younger athletes into the senior group.
Yeah, yes, and you have to ask questions when the time is right. But when you spend a lot of time with athletes, as I spent with this current group of athletes over the past, like Ben and Jacob, 5 years, and Alex Coomer is 25 now. Alex for the past 8 years. You do get to know the athletes here.
Absolutely. It is a real journey with coach and athlete going through that process.
It is, yes, it is. You get when you go to Sport Wales, and like Ben is getting supported now by West Athletics, so he gets a strength and conditioning plan, which myself and Chris Chukas, as him in the main, has looked at, and we put it together. And also when you coach athletes who are supported, it does give you the opportunity to meet up with the staff in Sport Wales, the service providers, whether it's the physiology, the psychology, the nutrition, the S&C. It does give you, and I used to attend 95+% of those meetings, because at the end of the day, it's knowledge. And if you can take that knowledge away and utilize that with the rest of the athletes who aren't funded, then it's good news for them.
Absolutely. Just to expand on that and touch on that, just a final question from me. What advice would you have for anyone who's just into coaching, and maybe some younger coaches looking to progress in the sport?
I think, as I said earlier, you have to look at what's in front of you, what you're dealing with. Look at the work that you're giving the athletes. Don't be don't be overly concerned about are the sessions right. The sessions for me are the tip of the pyramid. They are important, but there's a lot of work that has to underpin those sessions, the track sessions, whether they specific sessions or not. So look at what's in front of you, and also know what you were doing. I would be disappointed if I said to Joe Thomas, for example, Joe, we are going to do 600, 200, so-and-so recovery, rest, 600, 200, and then we can do a set of threes. So, and if he said to me, why are we doing that? And I said, well, I don't know, just get on with it and do it. So I think when you give athletes sessions to do, or you give them a training program, ask yourself why that is suitable for that athlete.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Great advice. So just to spice things up a little bit and just to finish us off, I'm going to do a bit of a quick fire round. So this is dead simple. You just have to choose which one you prefer. Are you ready? Track or field?
Track.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Coffee or Red Bull?
Coffee.
Jimmy or Joe? That's not fair.
Sure.
Sweet or savoury?
Savoury.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good a driver are you?
10.
What's the fastest speed you've ever driven a car?
158 miles an hour.
And you're still a 10 out of 10. Nice. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Describe what? Sorry, Chris?
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Handsome, articulate, and skint.
Perfect. Arwyn, much appreciated. Thanks very much for your time and talking to us this evening. It really is appreciated by myself and the rest of Welsh Athletics. And best of luck with your coaching moving forward.
Cheers, Chris. Appreciate it, mate. All the best.
Take care.